No rivals yet. But not that like. All of a sudden a leg just to stretch the fingers and the nails, then comes back to just being a leg. You can see a baby. It's a baby over here. Chip is here, Chip. My legs are completely numb. Chip only came after my legs are numb. My best idea is that she's feeling the same thing. And they came in. Your legs numb is the extension of the drugs. You know when I said that I couldn't feel my toes yesterday? Yeah. Today we have a perfect comparison because it didn't move. Okay, when I come to that. And because of it. Stay hungry? Thank you. Motherfucker, it probably is. You just came here yesterday to make me turn down the place, knowing that today is a holiday? And I say that because of this. There's nobody there. There's nobody on the other one either. Motherfucker. And by the way, I don't know, as living in this place, holidays are tricky. As far as I recall, there is nothing. Today's the 4th of June. So, I don't know. And maybe it's not. Maybe it is just that they didn't arrive to work yet. Maybe they arrived to work at 8 a.m. I'm just based on the fact that this didn't happen yet, and then there's nothing happening in the back. Just like most days, I point to you, I don't know. But in this place, sometimes they shape things. Also, what kind of person goes on a trip on a random weekday and not uses the fucking holiday? No, I don't know if that's the case, actually. Maybe it's not. I actually don't want it to be, because I want to go downtown. I need to deal with the baby thing. I don't know if I'm gonna go to how I'm gonna carry the things, but those always are the way I always have. In hindsight, they actually would be, I don't know. I probably wouldn't. Because that would be useful because I can leave the things here, but it's bad because everything is closed. So, you know. Getting out of my way, not true. Yeah. Also, that's some chips. You deixa eu feel more comfortable with just the baby. Because, yeah, I've got this. Secret. Oh yeah, by the way, business should expect me to go with phone. Because that's what they would do. The issue is with then I mean not the same shit. I can feel the baby doing that. guess you don't understand, but now let's talk about, oh, just in case, and even if that's the case, as I said, maybe not, maybe it's just that the place actually opens at 8. But I don't remember that being the case. Remember me moving the boxes and that thing being open. But, anyway, the issue is that he came here on a random day for 1 day, and for 1 day, I had to dismount everything, just remount to the next day. It's important the night. That being the point. And not letting me know. Because again, as I said, yesterday you saw the thing being, the other days the thing was here, right? So he could have just said, hey look, you can keep the thing there mounted, because I'm gonna go out tomorrow again. Just don't keep it very small, and I could have just adapted it. Ironically enough, this is actually going to turn out to some benefit, even if that's the case. I don't know if it is. Again, chances are that everyone is just late at the same time, because, boy, I mean, it's this crime. That the thing that surprises you? But the issue is, also, there's no way. I don't know why I was even thinking about not accepting the money yesterday. I mean, a bunch of food bags that is fine and all. The issue is, especially in perspective, after the things they cost you, I just felt insulting. Shouldn't take my own thing. But no, not just insulting. I felt like that could be disrespectful on my part. Funny enough, on my part, to the victims, myself, and to her. So self-respect and respect to her for what they're doing. But I should actually, don't know, I was thinking about the money because we're gonna have to pay the VAT and whatever it is for the baby and to Chip. I mean, Chip is being medicated and there's no other crime will be done to her. But if it is done, also if you medicine somewhere, I didn't. I didn't actually give the rest of it from the milk yesterday. It doesn't matter, especially because of the temperature, which is higher than the perceived temperature, and I don't think the milk is influenced by the cold drug. But it's still essentially like living in a fridge. Most fridges are kept between like 12 to 15, 16 degrees. And yeah, it's not gonna spoil in one night. Which means he's still gonna drink today. We're gonna try also put a little bit more milk to see if it dissolves. But the issue is the milk won't dissolve, and the last thing I want is to put more water in it, because I want her to drink that to the last. And again, the fact that this is the medicine for Chip, because it was the baby will eat that during 10 in a second. It was trying to eat that yesterday. It wouldn't do harm to him if nothing else to help with what you get. Trying to get you close. But it's very annoying. And what I was doing yesterday to try to get her not to eat so she eats the medicine easy. Not quite working out. I mean, as I say, she had food inside her box. She ate the food on the way in. She ate the food when we get to the mall, with the same video as well. She ate the food once we got upstairs. She ate the nuggets that was given to her, and she drank the milk that I gave to give the medicine to her. She ate some of the fish before she gave up. I think did I have fish? I think I also fish. So when I say it didn't eat, take that with context. And she ate before we left. When we woke up in the morning, yeah, that one as well. We need to buy the special ration again. We need to buy the normal ration soon. This one technically should this, but none of the cats want to eat it. And I think it's something to do with something they are doing. We've had the cats have their own participation in it. Another stretch. Mm-hmm. There's a chip. That's a baby. All of this blackness is a baby. Or you can say something about which I should encounter, but not just look at too much of it. So the timing is just the definition of bad karma for just about everything. And you can notice how many of these people even like predictable. To the point it's not even like they are stupid, but it's not even like something to be smart about it. It's very bad karma. Again, who'd have thought that individuals that using that and using me systematically for this long will find that music is funny. Would have such thing as bad karma, right? No? You probably know that, right? But that's just wrong. Regardless of that. Position didn't change. That's the thing. I was there for a while. It was fine, and then all of a sudden, legs are completely not just numb, they are painful numb. That the numb that causes not only numbness and lack of motion, but sensibility, but also pain, which is another thing. Remember, we have thought. I mean, what best example to explain what some of those things that you have require prior knowledge than orthopedic drugs, which is the point why I said these days and a couple of days ago, not all drugs are narcotics. No, that some of them are like the anger drugs, the textbook of what meth and all those other things cause in the angry, and the other ones are also very textbook, like the sedatives and other things, with the actual things. It's like in the morning, wake up, there's a smell of water coming from me. Which, by the way, was even the expectation, because if the only ones that get close to me from this, right? Which means that they could just lie. What is the idea if that was not actually the idea? Which, by the way, I don't know how to grade that smell without that being yeah, specifically. It's very specific smell. But what if I just didn't tell you about it? Like, in general. Right? So that I have such a great expectation that I'm such a truthful boy. Or it's much simpler to just get the criminals to lie. It's not they wouldn't lie about it. They lie all the time. The other thing that I mentioned to you is like the piss drugs being released in small quantities. Also, I want to point this out. This is a big deal. Now just got recorded increasing in. And I mentioned these days that they kept releasing the piss drugs in small quantities because the idea is the assumption that I'm gonna let you know, and that's the point you get to see now. Because the thing is fair to understand is they're reacting to me saying that by releasing now in extremely large amounts, which I only even adding up at this point. Neat. Because my credibility is not going to hang on that, quite to the contrary. Your conclusion to that is going to hang on my credibility, which, amongst the parties in this case, is the one that should exist. So, for what it's worth, interesting. Just pointing that out to you. Because, yeah, I told you so is a thing, but also kind of like it helps, and end of the day, it's one of the two. And so all those times, unpredictable things happen, which a best case scenario showcased that was not part of the plan, right? Meaning that even at face value, and that's the point I'm trying to get you. Again, it doesn't get to that point when you see me just down the things that they are and showcasing minor things and trying to be very responsible and conscious about accusations that you see me do, to the point that they mock me for it. You get to go a long way when you see individuals in the mall, the same ones you see now, mocking Chip or telling children to make the noise that she does when she's in pain because it's kind of funny. That's a bold strategy. But I'm quite sure that that's gonna play out beautiful on the internet. Um, the um, the the I mean, actually to pause to let the idea think. They would actually mock. In fact, they always try to be very reasonable, not to make false allegations, and make sure that I was sure about things because they're doing it, which makes sense that they'll be mocking that they're doing something. You see that victim of the crime being cautious and careful as to not exceed boundaries, and then again, the bold strategy they found was a good and savvy thing to mark that to that person that would be recording my video. It was a long way. I've seen the thing you saw yesterday. You can see that either way. So, but even regardless, seeing what you're seeing yesterday, do you dispute with me that there is truth and accurate? Truthful and accurate. Plain and simple. After the things you witnessed recently, would you dispute that I witnessed that with my own eyes? So, I'm just pointing that for generally being very conscious and responsible about accusation and trying the best I can to do that. The whole argument about drugs are not necessarily narcotics, it's also in itself because of that. Because I realized that some of those things are not necessary. And it's funny because the one that I use with irritation drugs, even though they watch another video saying that apparently some of those narcotics do cause a lot of itchiness as well, and that I didn't even know about that. So the fact that actually that comes up as a response to me realizing some of those are absurd to be connected, and that turns out reality is even more absurd than that. That is reality involving drugs and such. Is the thing that now I can testify that no, I don't know. Maybe that happens in context for those, but as I said, never used drugs in my life. If I had to assume that's the type of thing that would cause me long-term usage, I don't know if that's the thing you have immediately during the first time. Just saying, what kind of person will continue to the issue is we'll say mine. Right. I was surprised actually. When I said the thing there, I was generally expecting that to just be, oh hey, actually no, just everybody's late. Because again, I live in this country, I never heard of a holiday on the 2nd of June. Even Corpus Christi, the body of Christ is a very Catholic thing. In a secular country, and leftovers and that. But secular country is fine, but that's one thing Brazil will never walk away of. It's a day with no work. Just love it too much. Save for special occasions. That's actually a beautiful argument. I never saw that in a sketch though. I don't think it clicks for them. It's trivial to make fun of as for what it is. Because again, much like in the US, not as much in the US, you never see things like no Christmas trees in public places because but still it's more compliant in general. As you can see that they really like compliance. But in these occasions something like that, because again it's a very Catholic country, historically the Portuguese. So the logic is that it's a lot to walk away from. To fully secularize. Also, it's a country that remained a monarchy up to the 19th century virtually. Sorry, up to the 20th century virtually. Which means that, unlike the other republics, it tends to have a natural closer relationship to the church, and that is to maintain. Usually Republicans, especially following the French model, would be more akin to a separation. Although I'm quite sure that the Brazilian Empire, it was, I mean, you probably know that if you know anything historically, but it's strong. But you probably know that more likely than you can point Paraguay in the map. The issue is I don't know if they had separations. They had a lot of principles from the revolution already, but not necessarily. No, I don't think so. If I have to guess, it definitely not. Brazil is Portugal, and Portugal is always very close to Britain. Revolutionary ideals would be seen as something strictly French, and I wouldn't say so. Again, this country, talk about Argentina in the sense of geography. Everything talk about Argentina in the sense of geography. For everything to succeed and somehow fail, and geography and economy, it applies to Brazil as far as politics and economy. It's more so than the United States. The one thing that they didn't have was the caliber of founding fathers that the U.S. had, and obviously something about culture as well. Because if you just analyze it, it's very surface, stable throughout most of its history, united for most of its history, no separatist movements at all. Look at the U.S. And no issues with slavery becoming an issue. It just treated slaves as actual things. Not for the good reason. After all, this country does abolish slavery after the United States, and for relieving and spontaneous pressure from other countries as well. Something of the word foreshadowing also apply, technically be foreshadowing, things happen more than once. But the issue is but the fact that everybody was, and you'll be incredibly surprised about that one, compliant about it throughout most of it. You have some minor reforms being given, but nothing really to that point, or how by the time of the American Civil War, the slaves just have nothing here. I talked about before about the relationship between slavery into northern countries and into southern European countries, and how it's seen in Spanish and Hispanic opponents for Portuguese and Spain, how you have, for good and for bad, less of an ideology behind slavery, like less of an ideology of races, but at the same time more of the full embodiment of the idea that that thing is not a person. That thing is a thing in every regard, right? I think one of the examples I quoted even before was how Spanish would just sink because they have this thing about their ships would be considerably harder to keep floating than other countries' ships, including much poorer countries like England at the time, and the rescue treasury from those ships because also they were very much rich. Just at any point you see this imbalance in this incredible, everything to succeed and somehow failing is a common theme among, again, I think that's a joke. To be fair, it's not entirely given that you see the real victims being the millions of criminals accusing the one person, so you can see some exciting things. But so with much rich things, and they need to recover the riches from the boat that just keeps going to the bottom of the ocean. And amongst that, they would just say that slaves were used to recover. Don't you think that they noted how many slaves died? I think that they cared. They said how many items were recovered. We just replacing one item for another item, right? And this brutal thing. Now, on the other hand, you see very little, surprisingly little, of racial theory things you see in the United States or in other countries. So for what it's worth, is less of a danger to society. So much so that when abolition was given, it had the same rights as everybody else. Not in practice, just like any other place, but in practical theory. In other words, it was by the law supposedly that. It's just that there was some prejudice that goes around, but nothing like what you see in the U.S. about actual segregation all the way down to the fucking 1 century later. Except that from the one slaves were granted freedom in this country, it's not a century later, it's only half a century later because they remained slaves for decades after the U.S. Civil War. Which by then, if you want to know, post-century Britain, which Brazil capped, there's a reason why Britain enjoyed the South. They wanted to, to a certain degree, the members of the British cabinet, they generally wanted to do that for a very strategic reason. It has nothing to do with slavery. quite to the contrary, slavery is the reason why the Britain didn't join. And the issue is, U.S. As it turns out, Britain could see the U.S. would become, particularly with the march west, and at that point they were already California. So it's just that, well, they simply couldn't pass that through. The annoyance of that thing when people can decide what the government does, and they couldn't get that through because the abolitionist movement was too strong in Britain at that time. So, again, you be strategic, you have nothing to do with slavery, and it was a way to cover something less to make sure they stay divided and hence weaker and just beneficial for Britain at that time. Not for, an absolute U.S. again, that was never the point. The idea was just to prevent a competing naval power to rise up. But the issue is, this time more in an ocean way, not just a little channel. But as it turns out, they just couldn't pass that through Parliament. They knew that they would never be approved because Britain had an extremely strong abolitionist movement. And by then, it was a difficult thing. I remember studying about Britain's thing, and my teacher being bitchy about it. How you right to sink ships that are not yours? Fucking that. Very few people have that type of reaction to slaver ships being sunk, but there you go. Yeah. Right. By the way, no, not so much in high school, mind you, especially because I'm especially the community will be tracking them down, and there'll be tons of people just accusing each other at this point, which beautiful proves the essence of what I'm trying to say, if not exactly that, but at points I definitely did. Don't know which ones, don't know which teachers, so even if it was high school, middle school, grade, but at some points definitely did. I mean, that's not part of the curriculum, it's just teacher teaching out, but also, history teachers and calming approach, so talking bad about Britain and the U.S. is those things. But just pointing out in this country, particularly history teachers, but many of them very, very, not quite left-leaning to the point of left-leaning like it is in normal countries, but talking about stress farmers. It's not quite like preaching that to the kids, but let's just say the evils of the either way. Back to the point, and I remember saying something on that with other nerd friends. Can you just learn the facts? I just want to learn. Can you keep the politics out? What? As for also the indoctrination thing, I missed school. You may have heard that I missed school a couple of days, and like several days, like half of my first year. So first year of high school course in this country is not kind of the same thing as in the US. The issue is the year is supposed to be 15, right? Assuming you enter university or other work, or you end school at age 17. The year that you make 17, you're supposed to finish high school, right? So 2 years before that, I missed half my classes in school. And the next one I barely showed up. The other one I entered university. I passed, that one that I never showed up, I passed through university, and then I entered university on the one that's supposed to be on the 17th. The issue is, no, it's not bragging. It's actually not really bragging. I passed through physics. My, which is not very, not diminishing it, I'm just saying it's not very wanted course. Not saying they shouldn't be, I'm just saying it is not. Nope, okay, I was wrong. Is that? On that, the gate will open. And exactly. Hey, baby. So I have to be holding the thing so it wouldn't bagging it before. Morning. Look at bad. Stop scratching face. Stop scratching face. Quit scratching face. Oh, also, this was kind of the reason I didn't start reading. Yeah. So we're gonna finish that. Figure out how I'm gonna deal with the other thing. Baby, get up. Probably safe. You know what? Let's skip the safe.